What is up, guys? So today we're doing a little maintenance video. I think this video will bring a lot of value to you if you have a Cummins turbo diesel. It's just standard maintenance. Basically, it is our fuel filters. You have a fuel filter up in your engine bay, and then you have a water separator in the back near your drive shaft. So I'm just gonna kind of do a little how-to video to show you how to replace those. If you haven't done it, it's fairly simple. It'll probably save you roughly $200 to $300. The parts are for OEM factory parts. It's like $100 on Amazon. I'll link that below if you want to get those filters. And basically you have a gauge in your truck and it will tell you when you need to reset your fuel filters. And then this will be the process that you do once you get that message. That's about it. Hopefully we can save you some time when you do this job yourself. Don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment. If you have any questions, let us know. Subscribing really helps us out. We appreciate it. So when you're in your truck, you will see your messages right here. When you click over to the right, replace fuel filters. Pretty simple. After we do the job, I'll show you everything that has to go in with the job, and then at the same time I will show you how to reset your message light. Let's get to it. All right, let's get started. First things first, move the random chainsaw out of the way. My dad's always working on something here. So we got our fuel filters here. We grabbed these on Amazon. Like I said, we will link them in the description below. I want to say these were $86, almost $100 with shipping and everything. And these are legit Mopar fuel filter here. Well, no, this is the fuel filter. I believe this is the water separator. This one is at the back of the truck. This one is in the front. It comes with a new O-ring, and it's all sealed. It's all OEM Mopar. 86 bucks. Not too bad for 86 bucks. So you can definitely save yourself some money. This is an easy job. Just a few things to keep in mind, and I'll go over them in detail so that way you don't have any issues. Cool, so it's quite windy out today, so I tried to pull the truck in, but it's kind of a tall truck, so it barely fits. But at least I got the front end, so when I'm working on the fuel filter up here, hopefully the wind won't be too bad. It's like pretty windy out today. So first things first, you gotta pop your hood. I don't think I pulled the lever. Open your hood, pretty simple. Start there. And I'll show you basically the location of your filter. Oh, my hood hit the garage door. That's not good. All right, so getting in here, you're gonna have to stand on your tire. This is the more difficult part. So down in here, there's basically, you'll have to get a socket and put it on top, and it's plastic, so you have to be very careful. All right, so to give you guys an idea, here's your brake booster, and then you're gonna be looking down through this hole on the side of your engine. This is what we're gonna be taking off here. I'm not sure the size, but I will let you guys know. And we are going to be also way down here. This lets the fuel out. It's hard to see. It's a little yellow turn knob, and you put a screwdriver in there. So first thing we'll do is we'll open that up. We'll let the fuel and the pressure come out of the system, and then we'll pop this top off. That's what we do in this front engine bay, but I normally start with the part in the rear of the truck. All right, so first thing I like to do is add a piece of hose to that front fuel filter because you need to relieve the pressure in the system. So I'll try to show you guys. What I do is I take a thicker piece of hose that I have here, and I put it over the short end, so that way it's not gonna make a mess. So this can go straight into a bucket. When you unscrew that, obviously some fuel is gonna come out. I do that first, and then I actually go to the back of the truck. This is a piece of hose that I added so I don't make a mess. If you can tell, there's another hose right here. This comes off your fuel filter. So just take a bigger piece of hose, slip it over, push it up nice and far so it stays in place, and then this is gonna come down and it'll go into some sort of device to catch the extra fuel. You can see right here, we have this yellow knob, and you can put a screwdriver in there and you just turn it loose. Goes about maybe a half a turn, and now the fuel should be coming out down at the bottom. Obviously you can tell fuel's coming out and we're not gonna spill a drop, so that's nice. We're in the back of the truck. You can see the drive shaft right here. We have our exhaust right here, our fuel tank right here, and this is what we're taking out. So first thing you want to do is disconnect the plug, which you can see this blue line right here. If you follow it up, there's a connector up here. Well, that took me a hot second, but basically you can see right here, there's a little tab. You just push the tab down and then pull the connector apart. Don't pull on the wire, this blue wire, well, this blue cover. Don't pull on that. Make sure you're actually pulling on the plug, otherwise you could potentially break it. So same thing up here, you're gonna have to drain the fuel out. There's a little petcock right here. It's hard to see, I know. I took my hose from the front because the front was finished draining. Slide it on right there, loosen up the little petcock, and then fuel should start to come out. There it goes. So that's just hand tight. You can do that by hand. Fuel starts coming out. The hose just helps so you don't make quite as much of a mess. All right, so I was able to break the filter free. It was hand tight. There's still fuel in the system. I tried to get most of it out. Some might come out on you, but just unscrew it and we'll pull it out on the bench. If you're like me and you live in California, you might be tempted to pour this diesel back into your truck because the prices are so dang high. I wouldn't recommend that. There's no way your jar is gonna be clean enough. So we'll use this for something else, dispose of it properly. Just wanted to show you that in this, I believe this is those peanut butter filled pretzels container. There's about 2 inches of fuel at the bottom. That's from the front filter and the rear filter. We have a filter here on the bench. Always confirm that you have the old O-ring. I have shown you guys on some of the other videos, our maintenance videos, that sometimes these can get stuck up on, you know, the truck or where this mounts up. So we have the old one, so that's great. And then what we have to do is we have to get a large wrench to basically unscrew the plug and the petcock because they need to go onto the new filter. So I decided to use this because I feel like this is something that more people probably have readily available. You can use a large crescent wrench, you can use these pliers, but let's just see if this pops off right here. So lefty-loosey, hold the filter, it's spinning. You will feel some strange resistance because there is a O-ring in there. Just gonna unscrew this all the way. Be careful with the plug. All right, so we got that out. And then make sure you don't touch anything in here. You know, there's like a little sensor on here. Just wanna make sure you keep that clean and out of the way. It comes with 2 new O-rings. So the larger one, obviously I showed you, goes here on your mounting surface. So you wanna use the new one. And then this smaller one here is for the petcock and the sensor. So there's a little bit of dirt around here because we like off-roading and we off-road a lot. So I'm gonna pop this old O-ring off, clean up the dirt, being careful not to touch this sensor up here, clean it all off, put the new O-ring on, screw that in, put the other gasket on, and then we'll put it back in the truck. I have one of these little dentist tools, but I think you can get it off just by hand or with like a tiny little flathead screwdriver. This just works really well. You can see that we have mud and debris around ours, so we're just gonna clean the outside lip where our new O-ring is gonna go. Then we're gonna take our new filter, screw it in, and then we will just firm it up with the pliers. You don't need to kill it, just give it a little firm. Do not kill it. This is plastic, all plastic parts. Make sure your petcock is righty-tighty. We're gonna put our new gasket on, our mounting gasket. Kind of pops into place there. Pretty simple. Make sure that it's down all the way around. You can just kind of run your thumb around it, right? We're gonna plug our plug back in, and then that's it for the rear section. The rear is all finished up. It's actually pretty simple. One thing to keep in mind is when you plug that plug back in, you should hear, I think it's called a positive click. Obviously you'll push it in and it'll go, just to make sure that plug is all the way engaged. We have a ratchet right here. I'll take it off to show you. 1 1/8 socket. So I think this is one tool that a lot of people might not have on hand. The ratchet, yes, no problem, but it's this socket. It's a pretty large socket. I actually carry one in the Ram just because when we went full time, I knew I would be needing it to do these filters. You gotta finagle it down in here, and it's gonna be pretty tough to get these off because these rubber O-rings, you know, with all the heat that's in there, they get tighter and tighter. I just do a deep socket with the wrench. I put my arm in here, and then I just crank on it. Finally, you know, it got loose. You might want to put one arm underneath as well to help. One under, one over, because you're gonna need quite a bit of strength to get this bad boy opened up. Got my lid. We'll set that aside, making sure we don't get it dirty whatsoever. When you pull this out, you're gonna hear fuel, so make sure you just hold it over so the fuel is staying in the canister. The new filter obviously comes with an O-ring as well, which is actually on the truck. I saw it when I pulled this off, and I just want to show you guys the difference. You can tell obviously this one is much dirtier. So I normally just do it when the truck tells me to. I go ahead and I get the filter when it's coming up, when it's got 10% left. Maybe I do it a little early here and there. This time it actually was time to change. And then other than that, there's not too much. You'll see that the filter will go in a certain way. It has like an oblong hole at the bottom. You can see that inside, and then just make sure that you swap out the O-ring. You know, you never know what could be going on with the other O-ring. Make sure you get it and be good to go. And you'll see when you put the filter in, it can kind of only go one of two ways. So just kind of line it up, and it'll be like a firm push down to get it to kind of lock into place. One more thing to remember is make sure you close both your petcocks, otherwise you're gonna have diesel fuel coming out everywhere. I just closed the front one. We got the top cap on that all tightened up, 30.5 Newton meters, which is not that tight because it's a plastic canister and a plastic top. One of the most important steps you need to do is you need to prime the pumps to fill them. You don't want to start your truck with no fuel in it. It can actually be very bad for your injectors. So you're going to put the key in, you're going to turn it to run, and you'll hear everything prime up. Basically what it's doing is it's filling the rear separator we did, and then eventually this front filter with fuel. And I've read online that some people say, oh, you just crank it. You don't crank it, sorry. You do not crank it. You put it to on, run position. You do that 3 times. One time I had it and it didn't start, which is actually bad for the injectors. So I go ahead and I do it 5 times now, just to be on the safe side. It's really simple. I mean, it's not doing any harm to do it more, so might as well. Put the key in, 1 click, 2 click. So basically what that's doing is it's telling the fuel pump to pump fuel through the system. Let it sit for a few seconds. Then you're gonna go ahead and put it to the off position and turn it back to the run position. Like I said, I do that 5 times. That's just something I do, but I recommend being very careful because you do not want to start your truck with no fuel in the system. And if we did everything correctly, the truck should just start right up like normal with no extra cranking. Let's see. See, I think, which could have been very bad, I think I maybe should have done it maybe 6 or 7 times. It had a slight bit more cranking than it normally does, which you don't want. So in a sense, that wasn't the best thing, but you know what? It showed you guys what you don't want to hear. So I think it'll be fine. I'm not gonna stress about it. Now let's close the door and I'll show you guys how to reset the fuel filter light. It's pretty simple. All right, so we're in the truck with the door closed and the truck on run position. You're gonna go into your digital gauge cluster here and you're looking for vehicle info. You can see we're on it right there. You're gonna click right, and then it's gonna bring up the fuel filter life memo. You're gonna hold down the right button, and do you wanna confirm? You're gonna click down, you're gonna click right again, and you can see it just reset to 100%. So when you're doing this, you want the truck off just in the run position, and that is it for resetting the light. These are some of the tools that you're probably gonna need. Mandatory, it's a 1 1/8" socket with a ratchet. You're gonna need a Phillips screwdriver, You're gonna either need a big set of locking jaw pliers or a large crescent wrench. You're gonna need some sort of catch can to catch the extra fuel. This hose is great. This is just a spare piece of hose we had. You're gonna want some rags because you're probably gonna drop a little bit of diesel fuel. And then a creeper is always nice to have as well. Cool guys, so that's it. I went back under the truck just to confirm that there was no diesel leaking. Everything looks good. Remember, we wiped that down before, so we knew everything was dry and clean. Everything looks good up top. I reset the light. So overall, pretty simple job. It took me about an hour with filming. So if you watch this video a couple times and have a good knowledge of how to do it, it should be about 45 minutes. I believe it was about $90 for the parts, which are all the seals and the 2 filters. We'll put those linked in there below, so if you want to help us out, you could just purchase them right there. We'll get a little commission from Amazon. If not, that's cool, totally get it. If you have any questions, please let me know in the description or in the comments and we'll help you out.